and welcome to the 25th episode of Recluse Horror. This is a daily horror movie review podcast. Just a little background on the project. Back 292 days ago, I believe, I decided I wanted to watch and review a horror movie every single day. I have done so for the past, like I said, 292 days. So with me here today, again, is Sam.
Hey.
So basically, every episode, we go over two movies, we being me and Sam when he's here, just most of the time. The first one is one that we watched that very night, and the second one is one that I reviewed previously in text, as only the last 25 episodes have been a podcast. And I just go over whatever impressions that I have left, aided, of course, by the text review. So today, I decided to go back to Hulu for some reason. It was a bad choice.
Dumb idea.
And we saw Recovery from 2016. Those of you who didn't read my text reviews, which is all of you except for like a couple of people who would possibly be listening to this, they were private, so it's very hard. But anyway, I got to a point, I had seen so many really, really bad horror movies on Hulu. Basically, any time that I watched something that wasn't from, like, a well-established series, like, you know, the Freddy movies or the Puppet Master movies or any of that, they were fucking terrible. And so I actually took a break recently on Hulu and just, like, didn't even look at what they had. And so I decided to give them another chance today, and this was bad. I mean, it wasn't the worst movie that I've seen off of there. I mean, if you're on the Hulu sliding scale, it's like kind of okay. But what did you think about the movie?
I thought it was very bad.
You thought it was very bad.
Yeah,
I don't blame you.
It's one of those movies that you might like. You're kind of wavering on. Mm-hmm. But it's the type of movie where, like, personally, like, it just, you know, and just my own personal, like, the way I feel about certain movies, mm-hmm. It just, like, everything that could be bad about it is bad. It's just not necessarily the easiest to tell. Because there's, like, competent visuals, mm-hmm. Yeah, semi-passable acting.
So, yeah, most of the time it's all right. Yeah.
But no, it's bad. It's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not good. Again, I've seen much worse, both on and off Hulu, but yeah, so Recovery basically is about so this girl, it's her graduation, and she's at a graduation party at her boyfriend's house, and she sees him making out with some random girl that at their party, like, in public in front of everybody. So she, finds this girl. This girl comes up to her and tells her, like, you don't want to confront him in the middle of this party, and tries to talk her down out of stuff. And, they end up leaving and whatever. She loses the first girl. She loses her phone. And so she uses the where's my phone sort of, it's called Recovery, I guess. I don't know anything about iPhones and whether that's a real thing.
Yeah, it's real.
Like, I know that they have a where's my phone,
I don't know
but what
about
it's
this
called.
one. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, not Apple fans around here.
They have them for other phones. They have them for my phone. They have a bunch of apps that do it.
Yeah.
But essentially that's what happens.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, she goes and tracks her phone and, finds herself in the middle of a horror movie, essentially. So yeah, right off the bat, I thought they really kind of overplayed their hand, with the music. The first couple of songs that they played were just a little bit more aggressively cheerful and fun and party-like than I feel like they were really able to, like, get you into. And that was kind of a problem in a few places. They kind of screwed up the tone a little bit. Just in a few places, and it's not like totally hugely screwed it up, like when they do in, like, gosh, what was that terrible movie we were talking about the other day that I screamed about? Oh, Strange Blood. The music in that is often just awful and way off tone. And then, and Pod and, like, Darling, the Mickey Keating movies that always have like weird sound effects that aren't like sound effects.
This wasn't that
music.
bad.
No, it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
No, it was just slightly off. It's just those are the only movies.
I think some of the tone was weird.
Yeah.
I think the music was generic.
Yeah.
Except for a few parts. But the only problem is those parts, it was like not fitting the tone for the most part.
Yeah.
So it was weird.
Most of the time, yeah.
It was well designed, at least.
It was, yeah. They were just a little overly ambitious, I thought, with some of it. But most of the music does fit fine with the...
I think that's maybe my biggest problem. Is it's like semi-decently well-crafted, just with a garbage story and idea and presentation. It just felt like they just shit out anything on every level of it, but it was still put together halfway competently. Yeah, it was. Which is very frustrating, because you could have had someone who had like a story to tell or an idea or anything, and it would have been not a cliche movie. This is a very cliche of a movie. Yeah. I mean, trying not to be.
Trying not to be. It does actually try not to, which is something, I guess, but...
No, it just makes me that much more mad. They tried not to be cliche, but it just completely is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it feels like...
It feels like
30-year-old men writing 17-year-olds, but 25-year-olds are playing them.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing I was going to mention next, is like the casting, everybody... There's a couple of people who can sort of pass for their age, like the two male characters. I felt like they were both approximately like...
Yeah, the younger brothers seemed young. I don't know how old they are, but they did seem
younger.
Young.
Like that person could be
I don't know how old some of the other high school students are in this. They could have been 17 or 18 or whatever age they're supposed to be around. Yeah. They looked like they were a million.
They did. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this that are supposed to be cast as high school. See, like when they first went into it too, like the party and everything, and they showed all these people, I seriously thought they were graduating college, or at least the guy whose party it was, the boyfriend or whatever.
Maybe they were graduating college.
Yeah. Because they do not look... I mean, I could buy that they were graduating college, but the high school thing, I was like, what? Really? So...
Yeah, they look so old.
Which is just, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, but like, honestly, it's one of the minor flaws in this.
Yeah, because there's so many bigger ones.
There are.
Because that would have been something I'd be like, I don't care, I could overlook it.
Right.
But it just,
and they don't look like they're 30 or anything, they're like mid-20s.
Yeah, well, it's just one of the things that adds up in this movie to just being like...
There's a lot of flaws. So I felt like the largest part of the acting was done okay, but anytime they needed most of the characters to stretch on anything, they kind of didn't quite make it. A lot of the tense scenes, you could tell that they were trying and stuff, but they weren't quite able to get to the emotional level that you feel like they ought to. Which was sort of
yeah. Well, because it's a horror movie, and they're putting these people through a horror movie, and it's very dry and not their emotions are not pushed at all. It's actually kind of weird in that way.
Yeah, everybody's like on Vicodin or something trying to do this.
I didn't think about that hard, but yeah, it's totally... Everybody seems sedated and like weird and like we're in a horror movie. It's all right. It's I'm
just gonna pop in another tape.
It's tough, but I'll sleep it off and get back at it tomorrow. Mondays, huh?
We'll finish this horror movie.
Mondays.
We'll finish this horror movie tomorrow.
They're the worst.
So yeah, I mean, but it's honestly, it's not the worst that I've seen, and they're trying, and it's better than like overdoing it and being completely like phony baloney to me. I'd rather them underdo it and not seem, like they're like, oh my god,
No, they should chew the scenery. It's much funnier and less boring.
It is funnier, but I feel like this added to like the quality of the film along with like the cinematography,
trying to make it seem more like a movie, and they wouldn't have to do much except have an interesting story. Yeah, have not so like cringy dialogue.
But some of it is realistic. Like I felt I mean, I've known people that were that level of obnoxious. And those people make me
cringe.
Yeah, I know. They do.
They're making me cringe in real life.
I've had normal ass friends that have done those normal ass things. Like not everybody that I used to hang out with was always like emotionally damaged like us guys.
I never had a friend in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't have these cringy friends. They'd make me cringe right out of the friendship. They say a lot of, like, hip words or, like, what somebody thinks kids say. Right?
I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some of that, but, like, some of it is legitimately things I've heard people like that say. Like,
I've said things like that.
Especially when they're talking about boys.
I've said things like what they say about boys. But only ironically and hilariously, not sincerely.
But it comes from a true place.
Yeah, but they...
Samuel says that he doesn't have any friends.
You go, girl.
So, you go, girl.
You go, girl.
So Samuel says he doesn't have friends, and it's true that he doesn't hang out with a lot of people, but, everybody knows who he is, and...
Everybody's my friend, that's sweet.
Everybody is your friend.
Shut up.
What? It's not my fault.
Okay.
It's not my fault.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
Everybody's his friend.
You go, girl.
You go, girl. So yeah, I don't know. I think as far as the actual authenticity of, like, the quality of the film, I think they made the right choice in underplaying it rather than overplaying it, because I don't think there was any middle ground with these actors, in a lot of places. There were a couple that seemed like they might have been okay, but they didn't really get many scenes, or they had some other reason why they couldn't really be in the movie, which I thought was weird, because, like, I mean, I get some of the better actors you couldn't recast in other parts because of, like, demographic reasons. Like, they don't fit the same,
Yeah.
Somebody who's 40 cannot play somebody, I mean...
They try to do it in this one.
It's not Porky's. Like, they're not gonna have 40-year-olds playing, high school students, but yeah, I don't know. Like, some of the better actors only have a few scenes, even the ones that are kind of on the younger side, which is sort of a shame. I hate when they do that in movies, but honestly, in these particular roles, like I said, you couldn't really exchange them. Age problems. There were a few times when I felt like they did a pretty good job of, like, trying to cover the normal, like, horror movie scenario, like, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? And then there are other times when they completely miss and forget, and, like... There's
so much yelling at the screen of why they're doing this and not, like...
But it's only half the time. It's not like every time they zig, they should zag.
It makes it that much worse.
I appreciate the effort. There were a few things that, like,
mild effort. The tiny
mild
bit of effort.
Like, I appreciate that they tried. This is clearly a low budget, horror movie, but yeah, in some of the ways, the things that happen, like, actually make sense. The things that are usually really annoying in horror movies, like, why aren't they calling people, and why aren't they doing this and that? And then again, yeah, sometimes it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, why are you doing this?
Yeah. I thought it was really irritating. I felt like when they got to the scene of the actual horror movie, and, like, they start doing things that are, like, completely stupid that, like, I feel like nobody would do in the manner that they did. And I don't really want to say any more than that, but, like, did you agree with that?
Yeah, the whole thing's like that.
The whole thing? I don't feel like a lot of yes.
And a lot of it is, like, just...
Once the second act starts, they do start getting real dumb in a number of different ways. What did you think, because this was the one person I was sort of on the fence with, whether he was okay or whether he wasn't. Logan, what did you feel like about the male love interest?
He's bad. He was a terrible actor.
Okay.
And in the movie.
I felt like they just didn't give him a lot of scenes where he would have to be freaking out, and so he didn't freak out. Like, more than the other people who, like, I felt like they put them more in situations where they should be freaking out. But that's why I was kind of on the fence, because a lot of the time, like, everybody else had reasons to be like, and weren't able to
I think the whole movie is pretty stiff in that way.
A little weird.
And, like, I don't know, maybe they could have done a better job if they were given more to do. But he almost has nothing to do.
Yeah.
He's like almost the lamp in the movie.
He is almost the lamp in the movie. Yeah.
If he didn't do like two or three things in the movie, he's basically just a lamp.
Yeah. Yeah, but there are a few things that he legitimately does.
Yeah, that has something happen.
That like if you do that with a lamp, it would
almost.
But yeah, He's the closest thing to a lamp you get in this. Everybody else kind of has, like, something, like, definitely has more of a role in that than him. See, that's what I was saying about, like, the middle ground of, like, I'm not sure whether he was a bad actor or...
Yeah, well, like I said, that he was passable in the movie, but they didn't give him anything to do.
Yeah.
So like, it comes off bad and wooden, because there's almost nothing for him to do. So they're pretty much just in the scenes trying to react to, like, a few things, but mostly not even.
Yeah.
And they're in the whole movie.
Yeah.
They just don't do anything.
Yeah. It's true. So... Yeah, I mean, what else? Is there anything else specifically that you wanted to talk about?
We could talk about the actors.
Okay.
The like, if you've seen the poster, this James.
Oh, Landry Herbert?
Yeah.
Herbert?
He's on the poster. He's kind of.
Is he French or Canadian or something?
I don't know.
His name has an accent.
But he plays the punk in Stranger Things, season 2.
Oh, everybody's favorite episode.
Yeah, everybody's favorite episode.
What is it, season 2, episode 7?
He's the punk.
The punk.
And then we have,
Kirby Bliss Blanton. That's not a name.
Kirby. It's a hell of a name. She hasn't really been in anything I've ever heard of other than, she was in Unfabulous. Zoe 101 and Hannah Montana, so...
That's the lead.
They're kind of a big deal.
That's the lead in this. She was... Yeah. She had her moments, I guess, but most of them no.
And then Miles, the little brother.
Mm-hmm. Alex Schaefer.
I don't know most of the stuff this is in, but he's been in, but I guess he's in that TV show Outcast, which I haven't seen any of.
Me neither.
I just know it's a comic book
is that
TV
an adaptation?
series, yeah.
Huh, okay.
Robert Kirkman from The Walking Dead wrote it.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure who he is in this.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess he was in a couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know that was even... I knew the comic.
Uh-huh.
I just didn't know that was a TV show.
Yeah, huh.
I think that's about it about this one. Oh, apparently it's based on true events.
What?
Which I cannot possibly imagine is true.
Is that what it says on the IMDb?
It says on the poster.
It says it on the poster?
It says it on the poster.
That's weird. They don't put it in the movie. Maybe they do during the end credits. As soon as the credits started rolling, we turned it off. If there's a scene during or after the credits, we didn't see it because we were just like, done. We made it. I mean, it's not really that bad, but still. Who's following you? Based on a true event. Like, you mean that there is a recovery app on phones?
Yeah.
That's another pet peeve I have. If you're calling something based on true events, like, you really need to have some basis in reality, and I feel like most of those movies don't, at least American ones.
Well, it doesn't say it on the other poster.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe it meant to be, and then it just wasn't.
Oh, like that poster was an earlier poster.
Yeah,
that's possible.
Because this is the image they have on Hulu. Is this one?
Right. Yeah.
Which is actually, I think this is a much cooler image.
It is. But, it's aesthetic.
But the movie's not like that.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Yeah.
So no, I didn't like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very generic, very by the numbers. Even though they tried not to, it was decently like put together. Cinematography was pretty good.
Yeah,
there's some okay shots.
Yeah, for a low budget movie. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The acting wasn't terrible. It was not good though.
Yeah.
It was very not good. The writing to me was like really hard to stand, and I think that's my biggest thing with it. That it's not original in any way, and the writing, the dialogue.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember what I was going to say now. Samuel was doing that.
Just say yeah. Just be like, yep. Just say it.
Oh, I felt like some of the what's the word? Some of the chemistry between the characters was pretty good. Like, even though their acting wasn't very good, you felt kind of like they like had some kind of relationship. Like, I think they probably just like knew each other from the set and were like friends by that point. But that's good, because I hate when you get into a horror movie and it's like these people are supposed to be like friends or brother and sister or something, and like it feels like they've never ever met before. And I thought that was one thing that sort of did feel maybe not genuine, but like that there was some basis to it. So, I mean, even, all of the characters pretty much. Like, anybody who had to have a relationship felt like they were, like, comfortable with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, like, A+ to this movie.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. I don't know. Not.
You didn't feel that way?
Some parts. And maybe that was just by the time they got to shooting that part. They met each other and gotten used to each other. Because there's other parts where I'm like, these people seem weird together.
Well, the first time I saw the brother and the sister together, I thought they were pretty like, ugh, brothers,
Right.
But like in a sort of genuine way.
Uh-huh.
And the two girls, like, they start out and they're sort of awkward around each other, but that makes sense because they didn't know each other.
Yeah.
Logan and Miles in the first scene when they're together, I felt like they were kind of weird, but they also didn't know each other in real life. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those were genuinely, like, more the not knowing each other ones did seem genuine.
Yeah.
I feel less about the, like, longer relationships, like the brother and sister relationship type stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a character probably that I think the standout best actor in this. His name is John Piruccello. He's been in a ton of stuff, and somehow, like, none of it is stuff that I watched. He was in Lie to Me. He was in the new Twin Peaks. He was in, I don't know, a bunch of stuff. But it was all stuff that I missed. And he does a really good job in this. He just has sort of a smaller role. Not the smallest role, but sort of a small role. Again, that's one of those people that I was saying, sort of.
Yeah, he was very believable, very, very good.
Yeah, definitely didn't overdo it, and didn't. I didn't think he underdid it either.
Yeah, you really felt like he was that character. You didn't feel like he was acting.
Yeah.
He was also in Ed TV.
Ed TV. Samuel's trapped in 80s and 90s television.
What? Ed TV? This is in 1999.
I said 80s and 90s.
99. That's basically 2000. The 2000s.
It is almost the 2000s.
The Matrix.
The Matrix. Oh.
Can we stop talking about this terrible movie now?
Yeah. Suggestions? Who would you suggest this for?
If you just want something dumb to be on. You know, it's not like, it's like, oh, here, let's just put on this dumb horror movie and not pay attention to it, really. It's a good
background movie. You can
I did want to play on my phone and not really watch a movie. It's about phones, too, so.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good background party, whatever, just throw it on. I mean, not good, but I mean, it won't kill you. It's not going to draw your attention away from the party, which is probably for the best, and I don't know. You know the sort of parties I have. Something cool, yeah.
Some sort of laying around party.
The parties that I have are of the sort that, like, a TV could distract you from it because nothing else is going on. Everybody's just talking in my kitchen. Usually,
sounds like a rager.
It is a rager, and like maybe drinking beers. I'm not a big partier.
But yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody at all.
I don't think there's anybody specific who would need to see this. If you like that actor, that John Piruccello, I think his name was, then yeah, I mean, you could check this one out. Like I said, he's good in it. Or I guess if you like any of the actors, I guess.
Yeah, if you like any of the actors.
It's not the worst. It's just that there's nothing to recommend.
They also all get a decent amount of screen time, but that would be the only really thing. You'd be like, oh, I like that actor.
Yeah.
I'll stare at him a little bit. Okay, the movie's over.
Yeah.
Good.
All those grown-up Unfabulous fans have to see this one. She's the star. She's the star.
I think she had a tiny part in Unfabulous, because I don't remember the character.
Samuel, I think you just admitted that you watched Unfabulous.
But yeah, back when I was a kid, like we all did.
When you were a kid? That thing didn't come out until I was a teenager, I think.
Yeah, and I was still a kid.
Okay, you're older than me, though.
I was still a kid back then.
Well, you are really immature. So.
Well.
Yeah, so I guess that's about it. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not the worst, but I don't think there's any reason for anybody to have to watch it unless they're like, I love cell phone recovery apps. Or I love one of these actors. And again, it's not going to be like a complete waste of time if you're obsessed with one of these actors. It happens. We've all done it. So yeah, so that's our review of Recovery from 2016. Okay, so the next one that we're going to talk about is They're Watching from 2016. This one was kind of crazy. What did you think about this movie?
In my memory, I remember liking it a lot.
Uh-huh.
But the more I think about it, I remember why I didn't like it as much.
Uh-huh, yeah.
As I would have liked it.
Yeah.
And which sucks because it's kind of like a small thing or like a slight...
It just takes the wrong turn.
It's more how they did it. But I think...
Than what they did, yeah.
So I guess I have to give it like it's an okay or pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah. Well, they definitely... They almost tricked me into thinking this was going to be like a sort of decent movie, and then it just completely goes off the rails. Like, that's what
I like
impression.
is when it goes off the rails, though.
Really? Okay.
I think so. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Okay. I don't remember which one you... Usually I remember how you felt about it, because usually it's the same. You usually didn't like it, but...
I probably said I didn't like this one.
You probably did. But what degree of that? Usually I have some impression.
I probably disliked it less than other ones. And especially thinking further, like being more removed. I think I, like... On the long haul, thinking about the movie, I think I liked it more.
Than directly after.
Yeah.
Okay. So They're Watching is a movie about the crew of a reality TV show that helps people find and buy homes in foreign countries. After finding a house for a woman in Moldova, the crew comes back to film the progress she's made with her renovations. The town where she's made her home is very small, poor, and superstitious. Infamous for a witch burning that happened there only 100 years before the events of the film, which would have put it around 1916, well after the point that such things had mostly stopped. You know, that's the 20th century.
Yeah.
So the filming, the lighting, and the acting, I thought were all pretty well within, acceptable ranges. Although the format that they're using, namely that there's supposed to be a film crew for a reality TV show, means that a lot of the shots are very HGTV and not terribly artful. But it's honestly kind of a positive for this, because they do a pretty good job of framing that show and making you think, oh, this is really one of these shows.
Yeah, it feels a lot like it is.
Yeah. I really hate it when you set up a premise and you don't follow through on it. So even though, like, it made the shots seem kind of, like, bland in a way, it's also like, well, but that's what, these HGTV people, that's what their shows look like, They're trying to show off the things in the shots, not, build tension into HGTV.
Yeah, exactly. They're showing off the house and...
Yeah. So the feel of the show they're on is remarkably similar to an episode of a show like this that I saw when I woke up with it on while visiting my parents last winter. Coincidentally, it was an episode about a couple trying to find a house in a small Eastern European country, sort of like Moldova. I tried briefly after I first watched this to find out which episode it was so I could find out which country. But all I was able to find was that it was from a show called... House Hunters International. Clearly, this was the very show that they were trying to emulate, as the fake show in the movie was called Home Hunters Global. Though I only saw the one episode, it was basically identical, so I really enjoyed that particular, aspect of the production, that they stuck with that format. I do not watch shows like that. I don't watch HGTV, and honestly, I'm not really sure how I ended up on that channel. I must have rolled over on the remote or something. Or turned into a 70-year-old while I was visiting my parents, which is something that could happen. That's
probably what happened, actually.
That's probably what happened, yeah. Another thing I thought the movie did well was the relationships and the attitudes of the crew. Way back when I watched Inner Demons, which I actually have reviewed for the podcast now, it featured the crew of a reality show about interventions, and I mentioned that I appreciated the almost callousness and the apathy of the crew, considering the sort of show that they were making. In this movie, the crew is fairly lighthearted, jovial, snarky. They make jokes about people from the village that they see, and they're ribbing each other about all of their foibles and stuff like that. You can tell they've been doing this for a while. The going all over the country and stuff or the world rather. It's fun for them and everything, and they're having a blast.
But they care more about traveling and hanging out than this show.
This fake show. Yeah. Which I think is really fun, and I think that's kind of how it is. I feel like a lot of these things, like a lot of the travel shows and stuff like that, I feel like, and I have no basis for, I don't know anybody who works on a travel show, but I feel like that's how those people would be. They're going to spend a couple of years, maybe, 3-4 years or something doing this and just being able to see the world on somebody else's dime and hone their craft, I guess, with filmmaking and learning how to work on those crews. And then they're going to go off and do their own shit.
Yeah, it feels like very much just a job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's good in that way.
Yeah. So, do you remember one of the crew members is obsessed with finding this fake candy? I think it's a chocolate bar, but they never explicitly say so.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that is 100% genuine. Now, I don't know anybody specifically who's been on a show like this, but I know a lot of people who've done, I know some people who've done cruise ships, and I know some people who've done touring and other, it's called Doña, I think, is how it's pronounced. But, I know people who've toured with companies and stuff for various different things, and that is exactly what those people do. When they come back, the first thing they talk about, or they'll come back with a suitcase full of some chocolate or some alcohol or some whatever dumb bullshit that they were fixated on, and everybody in the crew has something about this. That feels so genuine to me. And then you get home, and then you have to ration all of this stuff because you want it to last forever. I mean, Sam, you and I have done that with candy and stuff that we picked up from an import shop. It's like that, only for people who aren't poor. Do you see?
I go other places than the far side of town. Yeah. It's I'm going to the far side of town.
Yeah.
To get this.
I don't even think I've...
Oh, I'm going to the farm market.
I don't even think I've been to some of the towns that you can still get to on public transportation that aren't in the place where we live. So, yeah. Not exactly a world traveler. That costs money I don't have.
I think the movie's really good at building this, fake sense of reality.
Yeah.
A lot of it is that. A lot of the movie is that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's another good, bad thing about the movie. Mm-hmm. It takes quite a bit for things to actually start happening.
That's kind of true. But at least it's fun.
But it's good leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
It just, you're just whoa, I thought this was, a horror movie.
Yeah. So yeah, it's also worth noting that the movie was filmed in various places in Romania, which really gives the look of the village a really realistic look and feel. One of the most impressive scenes to me was when the crew was sitting in a bar restaurant in the town. After some tension between the villagers and the crew, they decide to buy the villagers a round of vodka, and suddenly the atmosphere gets much more relaxed. At some point, the villagers begin playing instruments, and as goes the old cliche, some of the members in the crew party just happen to be able to play and decide to join in. Usually when this is done, the actors mime playing the instruments, and the music is recorded in a studio somewhere. But in this case, one of the actors really was playing the guitar, and another was really playing the shit out of a violin. I took violin in school for a few years, and so I know what it looks like when somebody's legitimately playing. For those of you that care, and probably most of you know this if you do care, but Benedict Cumberbatch in Sherlock is really playing the violin. So anyway, but yeah, it's kind of neat that they really bothered to do that. And I think wasn't there in the outtakes, don't they show an uncut version of that scene?
Song. Yeah.
So like I said, the guy definitely isn't, and I looked him up to find out who he was. The actor's name is David Alpay. He was once the principal violinist for the Canadian Dance Tapestry, which sounds impressive at least. I don't know anything about what that is, but you might recognize him from The Vampire Diaries, where he apparently played violin for another episode. I never watched that, but I've seen him in other shows like Dollhouse and The Borgias. Regardless, it's clear that the music is recorded actually live, and you can really feel the energy there. Again, they really are having fun with this, which it makes you feel like they're having fun, and it really brings you into the movie a little bit. The sets and locations are all pretty impressive, and the story is basically well told, right up until the last 15 minutes when I felt like it just sort of imploded on itself. This is what you liked about the movie, right? When it
I liked the idea. I didn't like the
execution. Okay.
Because it's when things happen in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Things finally happen in like the last 15 minutes of the movie.
It's true.
Which is bad.
There's a little more.
Which is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a little more. Which is bad, but them leading up to that is actually really good.
Yeah.
And interesting and makes you kind of want to see what's happening.
Yeah. Pretty much anything you can say about the end of the movie is a spoiler, so I just won't. I don't really want to get into it. When I was writing my review, I debated for a really long time, like, how much I should talk about it. But really saying anything about it is sort of a disservice. Some people might like the ending of this movie, but it was totally irritating to me. I'm sure it was intended as, you know, some sort of a twist, but I was just the wrong audience for it.
Well, even saying anything that there is a thing at the end of the movie
is
kind of a spoiler. Mm-hmm. But you know the horror movie has to horror movie at some point.
Yeah,
so
it's true. It does have to horror movie at some point.
Like, if I wasn't positive it was a horror movie, I can't remember why. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, oh, probably nothing's gonna happen in this movie.
Yeah. It almost seems like they tried to do it in a way more similar in feel to the rest of the movie and didn't like it. Like, they originally tried to make something that fit in with the mood of the movie, and then they were like, this is terrible. So instead they just, like, decided to do something to make it stand out. And I've seen it done in other movies, and I won't say which movies because that's kind of a spoiler, but there's one recently that I've seen that did kind of the same thing, but I really liked it. I feel like this one just doesn't quite do a good enough job of, like, building it up or, like, snapping in the right place.
I just think it kind of sucks.
It's ridiculous. So the effects of the movie, there aren't too many of them, but they're all pretty terrible, right?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with the movie. The effects are bad. Mm-hmm. The acting's good. Mm-hmm. You know, the cinematography is good in the way it's simulating. The music's good.
Yeah.
Most of the story's good.
Yeah.
Again,
all of those character interactions,
for me, it's the effects that take me out of this movie.
Yeah, yeah. They definitely took me out of it too. Again, I have, like, a problem with CG effects sometimes, and I definitely did. I've gotten a lot more desensitized to them in the last 200 and something, almost 300 movies that I've watched. Because, they're not going away. Like, anybody, I love practicals. I think they're great, and I think a lot of the time when people use CG, they shouldn't be. This is definitely one of those cases, but even looking back on them now, like, I have a pretty clear memory of what they look like, and they're even bad by my standards now, rather than my standards, like, 260 some days ago. So, yeah, I don't know. Without an adequate payoff, this movie really doesn't have very much that makes it worth watching. But as I said, some people might enjoy this ending where I didn't. So it's really hard for me personally to say who might, like, appreciate this movie. And again, that build-up is really good. It just doesn't quite have the payoff. There is actually some mood-building and tension, like, towards the end of the second act that's pretty good. But then they just... kind of, like, toss it out the window. Again, I'm not sure exactly what happened, and... Again, it's not bad. I'm having a really hard time trying to figure out where to land on, like, how I feel about this, because every time I think about one aspect of it, it sways me in another direction. It's very indecisive. Yeah. It's a movie that makes me pretty indecisive. It's definitely not the worst.
Me too. I was having a hard time.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to enjoy about it.
There is.
But it just falls short. So it's very disappointing in that way, and a very hard way that I would like to recommend it to people, because it is interesting and it is well acted. But at the same time, they're like, it's like, yo, if I recommend that to somebody and they see some of the dumb stuff and decisions and stuff like that in this, I'm just like, they're like, yo, I watched that movie you recommended.
It was terrible.
Why was that part so stupid? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't make it.
You didn't.
Did you see that guy play the violin? Come on.
Oh, man, that was great.
Come on, let's go find some weird candy bars.
For sure, though.
It's a weird movie in that way.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, if it sounds like something that you might be interested in, you might as well go ahead and put it on. Like I said, the first 2 acts are good. Most of the first 2 acts. And they start to build... See, that's the thing that kind of makes me like, about this movie, is that they start to build in tension really well. And then they're just like, nope, gone. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that should probably be. Did you want to talk about the actors or anything like that? I talked about the one actor because I had looked him up before.
There's not a ton any of the actors are in. One of the guys is in Ginger Snap, and that's about it.
Ginger Snaps and Existence.
And Existence. Even though the director has only directed like one or two other movies, so there's not a ton to talk about it, which is weird because they're pretty good. Oh, actually, one of the other actors was in a handful of stuff, but it's always like really small roles, is why I wasn't even going to talk about it. But I guess since we're
Carrie Genzel,
a lot of like small parts and stuff I've seen. She was in Watchmen. She was in Jennifer's Body.
Who is she in Jennifer's Body?
She's been acting a long time. She was one of the teachers.
Okay.
She's been in a lot of TV stuff. All My Children, Married with Children, for years. Days of Our Lives. She's been in a lot of stuff. I wish there was something I knew her from.
Right.
And I'm sure I kind of recognize the face, but nothing I'm like, oh, that's her from this.
It looks like she's been in one episode of like every show.
Yeah, a lot of shows.
I've seen a lot of those shows too, so I probably have seen her in those. I can't remember whether I thought she was familiar or not.
And she was good in this.
Yeah.
So so it's nice she has a bigger part. And
does she play the one who has the house?
No, she's the host.
The host lady.
Or not the host.
The producer?
Producer? Is that who it is?
There's a producer and there's an on-screen host, I think, and then there's the person who owns the house, I think, and then there's the camera guy and the sound guy.
Well, she's not the camera guy or the sound guy.
Okay.
We can narrow. She's not the homeowner.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's the producer. I think she's supposed to be the producer. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. She was good though.
Yeah, she was.
And
good.
it's like I was saying, she's been in a lot of stuff for a long time, so it's nice to see her in a bigger role than I think any of these other roles were.
Yeah, because she's sort of the lead. I mean,
she's very close.
She's very close. I mean, all of the characters have like it's one of those things where it's split pretty evenly, but the most important characters are probably the homeowner and that producer, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah. Would you watch this movie again before Recovery?
Oh, definitely. This is way better than Recovery.
Okay, agreed. So you wanted to talk about one of the characters that you forgot about?
Yeah, Vladimir.
Vladimir.
The actor who plays Vladimir is amazing. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's just like a funny character.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I wanted to read off a few of his credits.
Oh no. Go for it.
And basically, okay, so I'll just name some of his credits, and you tell me like why I'm naming them. In 18 Wheels of Justice, he plays a character named Sergey.
Okay.
And
I already know what this is going
no,
with.
You
but
can't already know.
Go ahead.
And in Burn Notice, he plays a character named Boris.
Shocking.
And
I know who that is, actually.
In The Riches, he plays a character named Russian Number 2.
Oh, no.
In the Iron Man video game, he plays a character named Boris again. Also, Russian Soldier.
Also Russian Soldier.
Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, Russian Suit.
I didn't think that was a movie.
Get Smart, Russian Underling.
Oh, dear. I had it at Sergey, okay?
But I can keep going.
I'm sure.
So I guess basically what I was getting at is
this guy's real Russian.
If you need a Russian voice
/ Eastern European,
you go to. There's more Russian soldiers in video games.
Oh God,
credits.
You go to this guy apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sons of Anarchy, head Russian. He's the head Russian in Sons of Anarchy. So
that's pretty good.
So he was in 2 episodes for that. That was a 2-parter.
Plays a character named Ivan.
Ivan, yep. Misha. Oh, there you are. Dmitri. Oh God.
Yuri.
Oh man. Markov. He's what is that? Vadim Bulbrov. I don't know Russian pronunciations too well, but Janko Kolar. Oh, that's Murder in the First. I haven't seen that. Yeah. This guy plays Russian in everything. He plays Russian or Eastern European in, like, everything.
So I guess I thought that was funny.
But he was good. He was good.
Yeah, and he was amazing in this movie.
He was.
He's
was
so
really
good. Look at.
Yeah. Ah, there he is. I forgot how funny he was.
Yeah, he's super fun.
He's really fun.
I can't believe I forgot about him till the end of this. But yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
The comic relief. I forgot. Yeah. Yeah, he's sort of he is sort of the comic relief, but
he does a really good job because there's parts where he's not being funny.
True.
When it wouldn't be fun to be funny.
Yeah, exactly. And he plays those well too.
Yeah, exactly. It's very good.
He plays the fun, guy when he can, and then when he can't, he's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
Which is good. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about this movie?
Just who I might recommend it to.
Yeah, who would you recommend
Anybody
it to?
I want to talk to them about what the hell was up with the end. That's pretty much what I recommend it to. I'd be like, hey, you should watch this so I could ask you about the end.
Yeah.
And what you thought about that and WTF.
Anybody I knew who had, like, a high tolerance for horror movies, I would probably tell them that, too. And I'd be like, you probably won't like this one, but there's a lot to like about it. like, there are a lot of high points, but the low points are just, like, so low. So, yeah, I might, too. This is definitely one that, like, if I knew somebody who had seen this, I would derail the conversation to ask them how they felt about it.
Yeah, what did they thought about the end? That's...
Yeah. Yeah, I really like these to a certain extent. I'm probably going to get to the point where I'm a little oversaturated by them, but these movies that set up a premise of doing like a show or having a specific format and stick with that format, I do really appreciate that. There's another one, it's probably not coming up anytime soon, really, that I saw called Man Versus, that it kind of has like a similar problem where like some of the negatives are pretty high, but they do a really good job of setting up the rest of the show, and the acting is really good, especially considering like the one guy is on stage is on screen for like the whole movie, almost by himself for the whole movie. So but yeah, so if you saw this one and you were kind of like, this almost could have been a good movie, maybe try Man Versus. That might be something that you would watch. That
might make you feel the exact way.
I feel like the positives in that case were a little bit outweighed. Like a little bit outweighed. But again, it sticks by its rules. It puts itself in a certain frame and it sticks to that frame. So that's all. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody who I didn't think was a horror fan, and I wouldn't recommend it to most horror fans, but they were like, I've seen everything on everywhere. What should I watch? I'd be like, well, there is this one. I want to know what you feel about it. So, yeah. Did you die? No. Are you just thinking about playing, like being buddies with Boris over there?
No, I'm tired.
Okay.
I'm tired.
All right, well.
And his name wasn't Boris in this one.
I thought it was.
It was Vladimir?
Yeah, it was Vladimir. That's right. He was Boris in Burn After Reading. Right?
Yeah, he was Boris in a couple of things.
Yeah, he was. Say moose and squirrel. But anyway, yeah. So that's I guess that's our show. If you enjoyed this, please like, rate, subscribe, whatever on whatever sites. You can find us on social media, or me anyway, although I can get messages to Sam. We do see each other occasionally, me and Sam.
Not by choice.
Screw you.
Wait, I was implying neither of us like each other. We equally dislike each other.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're both too cool for each other. Yeah. We're just in a contractual obligation for several years.
We got to keep the show going
for the fan.
For all the fan.
For all the fan, yeah. Yeah, if you want to reach out to me on social media, I'm on Recluse Horror on pretty much everything. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, stuff and things.
Yeah, and if you're trying to get a hold of me, just, I'm around.
He's around.
I'm around.
I'll be his secretary. You can just send me a message.
I'm around. If you really wanted to get a hold of me, you could. I'm around.
And pretty much all the questions you might have about Sam, I could probably answer. We spend a lot of time with each other. Court-ordered visiting time.
That's untrue. I do not spend any time.
Yeah. Well, you at least spend like an hour a day most of the time.
Immediately out. Let's finish this podcast. I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah. You can email me at reclusehorror@gmail.com. If you don't like the platform that you found us, or if you want to suggest it to somebody else who does not own whatever device you have, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Player FM, and any number of other podcatchers and various streaming places. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your rating for
2 Vladimirs? Straight up.
Sam, you guys, I can't explain this on screen, but it's good.
It's good.
It's all good stuff.
It's good.
So yeah, I give it 1 HG movie of the year. I don't know what that means. HG movie of the year. HG TV movie of the year. Yeah, so say goodbye to all the friends.
Bye.
Bye, friends.